a phone or tablet, click on participants and then your name and rename. And you can change it to just your first name or whatever would best make you feel comfortable in this environment. Brenda.
All right. And it says, got it. So we just hit the post. You know, in radio, they say it's when the DJ stops talking just before the sound begins. And that's what we've been able to do here. Christopher bridged that gap for me between going live and getting things started for us in the background here. All right, very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring us up to gallery view. I want to see who's with us today. As I'm doing this, I want to ask my all-stars if you wouldn't mind using the raise hand function so I can make you a co-host. And for those of you who are not aware, the all-stars are individuals I've tapped on the shoulder. Maybe they volunteered to help me on the call because they are a career coach, strategist, LinkedIn trainer, resume writer, you know, author, whatever, supporting the job seeking community, or maybe they've been voluntold by me. Hey, I've tapped into them from the audience and said, hey, can you come and help me up on stage? At any rate, I want to make sure to give each of you the opportunity to introduce yourself. So what I'm going to do right now, oh, let's see, how do I do this, Christopher? You just brought me up into gallery. Can I go back to, yeah, okay. All right, so we're going to go in this order. We're going to go with Sue Griffey. You guys need to pay attention because I'm only going to say this once. Sue Griffey, Kenneth Lang. Then we're going to go Joey Himmelfarb. Then we are going to go Linda Brubaker. And then we're going to go Christopher Johnson. And then back to me. And my son made me scrambled eggs. So talk slowly. Tell us about you and your business, anything that you're working on. And then I will see you after Christopher. Go ahead, Sue.
Thanks, Brenda. I love being here. It's the highlight of my week, coming and learning from all of you and helping you out. I'm Sue Mentors. I'm also the mentor with Pom Poms. I will celebrate successes, questions, wins, everything to make us realize the progress we're making. And my camera's doing funky things. I'll have to fix that. I welcome connecting with you, and I work with a global mentoring practice, trying to get more global professionals onto LinkedIn so that we get more information about how we appear and work in the global world. On to Ken.
Morning, everyone. My name is Kenneth Lang. I'm going to lower my hand now so it doesn't get too confusing. I'm looking forward to being part of these conversations. I've known Brenda for a while, and Sue and I actually just met a few weeks ago, which was really, really great. I'm a LinkedIn introvert, which may seem a little counterintuitive, but so many of you probably have the same issues as I did: what to post, how to post, and what to do to put yourself in best light. I've been a Lee Hecht Harrison now for the last month, and I'm happy to share some of the challenges that I see with other people that are having their resumes and LinkedIn profiles done, so you don't make some of the mistakes that they make. So happy to be here. Kenneth Lang. On to Joey.
Thanks, Ken. Good morning, everyone. So I'm Joey Himmelfarb. I'm the author that Brenda referred to. I wrote a book about selling yourself in the job market. It's a collection of the stories I've had over the years, many years, coaching and counseling people that are looking for work. I try to put a positive spin on almost everything I do, including the job search. And I know that's hard to believe. It's almost oxymoronic, but you got to be positive, and you got to have a positive attitude. And that's why I'm on these calls. I will sit and listen and pay attention and not say a word unless I hear you going down a rat hole. And then I'm gonna chime in and smack you over the head and get you back onto the course. So thanks for being here, everyone. Next, I think it's Chris, right? Oh no, Linda. Sorry, Linda.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Linda Brubaker, and I'm a reformed headhunter, internal recruiter, hiring manager, employment manager. And what I do is that I work with job seekers throughout their search. I'm a job search coach, and I'll help you from start to finish, and bringing the experience from all sides of that desk to the hiring process. Who's next?
Good morning, Christopher Johnson. My company is Calm Clear Communications. I help speakers, trainers, and coaches produce engaging online virtual events. I do this by taking care of the tech so they can focus on engaging with the audience without any of the tech hiccups or issues. And by doing that, they have a wonderful experience. And so this is the part of the conversation where I am now vamping to make sure that Brenda has had enough time to complete the breakfast that has been prepared for her. So while I do that, one of the things, To have an engaged speaker, we have to have an engaged audience. So one of those things to do that, place your questions in the chat, precede it with the word question so that it can be captured and addressed either in this call or at another time or by another member of the community. Additionally, if you have a success story, you can place that in chat by having the word success. Now, you saw the All-Stars raise their hands. We can do that by using the raise hand function, which is about right here. So if you're called on, use the raise hand function, and then Brenda can bring you up to the spotlight. Brenda.
Don't you all just want to hire Christopher right now just to like be seriously be the MC for every event you go? Christopher, there's just something calming and centering about your voice. And you just, did you notice I didn't even say keep going until I turn my video? Like he knew, he anticipated, he's that good. So I just want to give, I want to give a huge shout out to you, Christopher, and for the audience right now as well. If you are working with anyone that is doing a virtual event, do you do in-person events too, Christopher, or just virtual?
Primarily virtual. I have done
Okay.
a few hybrids.
Yeah. Okay, good. So I know he's the voice behind TEDx Detroit. So I know he has done some, whether you call it an MC or not. In my mind, you are, one of the MCs of TEDx Detroit. But I know with virtual events, he just makes things run seamlessly. And you all just saw it happen. Like he did it without me saying, hey, can you do this? So that's the type of person he is. So if you are interested in learning more about Christopher or booking Christopher for an organization, or know somebody, I should say, that's looking to book Christopher, please name drop him. Please give his contact info out. And for that matter, all the other all-stars that are on me, they're joining me to donate their time and expertise. So if you are in need of their services, please do keep them in mind and include them amongst the referrals that you send out. So we are going to go ahead and get started. And I want to see if there is anyone joining us for the very first time today. If so, could you go into chat and just type in the word new, N-E-W, if you could. I may call in one or two of you just to say hi. So if you're feeling shy and you don't want to identify that you're new, that's okay. But if you're okay putting the word new in chat, N-E-W, I may call in just one or two of you and ask you to briefly introduce yourself. This is what I'm going to have you share. So it's not too bad. I'm just going to have you share your targeted job title, your targeted geographic area, and how you heard about the call. So pretty easy. We're not going to get into your life story, just targeted job title, targeted geographic area, and then how you heard about this call, if you could. So I see a few new coming up into chat. Haley, I'm going to ask if you could unmute yourself. And again, targeted job title, targeted geographic area, and how you heard about us. And then Alicia will go next. So Haley, are you able to unmute yourself?
Yep, I'm here. My microphone might be a little bit iffy, but I'm here and happy to hop in. I'm Haley McQuate, and my targeted job titles, I have two. It's either LMS administrator or business analyst / solutions architect. And my targeted geographical area is in Cleveland, but happy to work anywhere, honestly. And I heard about this through Megan Voygas.
I was just going to say, when you said Cleveland to me is like Megan Voges to be is what like when people say pie, they think of me. Like when I hear of Cleveland, I think of Megan. So I'm really delighted to hear that you're joining us, and I hope that you enjoy your time in the call. And keep in mind that we're here every Friday, Haley. So we're delighted to have you. Thank you so much for that intro. Great job. All right, Alicia. Alicia, are you able to introduce yourself? I'm trying to find you in gallery view here. Alicia, can you unmute? If you're feeling camera shy, you don't need to. I think you might be in your car, Alicia. I'll give you a second to see if you're able to. Hi,
yes,
how
I
are
am.
you?
Yeah, good. I didn't know I was on camera. I thought I turned off because I'm driving. I pulled over.
Okay, I don't be driving on video if you are.
No,
okay, I don't want to be.
No,
okay.
no. Like I said, I thought I had turned it off, but I pulled over to talk. So my name is Alicia Chenhals, and I am an HR professional, targeted role, HR business partner, HR director. But separate from it, I am starting my own coaching business, Level Up with Alicia, where I work with individuals who are looking to take their image to the next level, their style to the next level, prepare for that next level of position, some stylist work, but also a lot of life coaching along with it. So, and
Wonderful.
I was connected to this group by Karen Philippi.
Oh, wonderful. Well, we're always glad to hear about referrals. So are you looking for a job, or you're more looking to ramp up your side hustle? Is that kind of what you're looking to do?
Well, I'm not yet ready to go live with my side hustle, so and nor do I have the funds. So I'm in this very odd place of kind of in between where I'm ready to take that next step, but I haven't eliminated the opportunity to still continue with my HR career.
All right, wonderful. Well, we are delighted that you found us, Alicia, and thank you so much for being bold as to introduce yourself on camera. I know sometimes it can be a little intimidating when we're like, we're going to pull you up on camera and have you intro yourself, but we are delighted that you're here to join us. And while we're on the subject, Alicia, there's many of you that are on the call that are kind of dabbling in the side hustle, or now thinking about, I'm maybe I will do my own coaching business or consulting or speaking or whatnot. I've got an event coming up, and I'm just going to quickly share this up on screen because I feel like this is really timely right now. Let me just share my screen here, share screen one. Okay, there we go. I've got a free live webinar that I'll be offering, and there'll be 2 dates starting next week. So it'll be Friday, April 14th at 11:30 a.m. and then Monday, April 17th, the following Monday at 10:30 a.m. These are both Eastern time. It's a free 90-minute webinar, and I'm going to be talking about finding leads for your coaching, consulting, or speaking business using LinkedIn. So spread the word about that. I did put the link inside chat. If you're on my email list, you'll be seeing some communications coming out about that in the next week or so. But I did want to just do a brief mention of that. If you are even considering dabbling into the world of speaking, coaching, consulting, maybe ramping up a side hustle, or like I did, leaving corporate altogether and going your own path, come on out and join me for the webinar. Might be really good information for you to have. Or if you know somebody who is self-employed, whether they're just getting started or if they're well established and maybe struggling with using LinkedIn the right way to grow their business, share that link with them if you could. So a little bit of a plug on that. I wanted to give her myself. And by the way, for those of you who haven't met me, what I do is I'm an independent LinkedIn trainer coach. I help people get a bigger slice of the LinkedIn pie. And I do work with working business professionals, organizations, as well as all of you, the job seeking community. I created this Friday VIP job seeker office hours back in the beginning of the pandemic when companies started to lay off people. And I remember the last time this happened, back in, what was that, 2009, 2010. And it was like, I saw a lot of really good people being laid off. And these people were, great employees of their organization, and they were being let go for no fault of their own. It was just the company trying to survive. The positions were being eliminated and they were in the position. So it was really a challenging time. So when I saw it starting to happen at the beginning of the pandemic, and you guys remember at the beginning of the pandemic when it was, for me, we had, our kids were in school. So they were like, well, schools are going to be shut down for 2 weeks. And we're like, oh my gosh, 2 weeks. Right? How naive were we, right? 2 weeks then became 3 weeks, then it became the month. And then I remember at one point I was sitting out in the backyard with my daughter, and we normally would join the community pool, but it wasn't open that year. And we were sitting in an inflatable pool, and she was, crying, and she's like, when am I going to get to play with my friends again? And I couldn't, as a mom, I couldn't tell her when, and I started crying too. And at the same time, all of these organizations were struggling with revenue and keeping afloat. So they started to having to pull back and let people go. And I started to hear about people that are being let go, and they're like, they've never had to job search, or it's been such a long time. They didn't know how to use LinkedIn or some of the other sites effectively. So I created this as a place for you all to come out. I call this Friday VIP Job Seeker Office Hours for a reason. It's every Friday from 10 to 11 a.m. Eastern time. By the way, this is being streamed on YouTube. And I'm going to ask Julia, my intern who's on the call with us, to drop the link to today's video inside chat. That way, if you want to come back and watch it later, we go through tips that you want to watch again, you'll be able to watch that playback. And also, Julia, if she could drop in the full playlist. So the playlist contains all of the Friday VIP calls, I think from like the beginning of the year, even maybe goes back a little further. So you can go back and watch other calls as well. I hear some people treat it like a podcast. They'll listen to it as they're doing their work throughout the day, or they're out walking or whatnot. So you might find some great inspiration from that. Okay, so the Friday, it's every Friday from 10 to 11 a.m. Eastern. I know I have a couple people on the Pacific Coast or in other parts of the world that say it's just too early for me. It's just too late for me. This is the time that works best for me. I'm giving my time, and all of my all-stars are as well. So this is the time that works best for us. So we're going to keep it Friday at this time. The YouTube is your alternative if you can't make it. Okay. VIP, because you are a very important person, my friend. I want you to know that your identity and your self-worth and your value is not tied to whether or not you have a job. You are the culmination of your career. The passion that you have for the work that you do, the people you help, all of those great things, all the knowledge that you've gained, all that institutional knowledge, industry knowledge, expertise, that goes with you wherever you go. Okay. And I know a lot of times we get ourselves wrapped up in our identity is our job, especially if you've been working for the same company for 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years. You feel like you are your job. And when they take that job away from you, it's kind of like they pulled the rug out from underneath you and you fall over and you're like, what am I now? If I'm not a marketing manager at ABC company, what am I? Right? I want you to remember that you are a very important person. And when I say VIP, I'm not just talking about people who are in leadership roles. I'm talking about whether you're an entry-level college graduate all the way up until if you are experience rich, age 50 or above, you are still a very important person. And I want you to know that. Okay. So this is a community that we have created that you can connect with fellow VIP job seekers. And one of the ways of doing that is going into chat and introducing yourself. And if you haven't already done so, I'm going to remind you again about this. What we would look for in the chat, tell us your targeted job title, tell us your targeted geographic area. So where in the world are you based? Even if you're looking for remote work, where in the world are you located? And then your LinkedIn URL. Do make sure that you keep the HTTPS, because then it's blue and it's clickable inside of Zoom. Okay. For those of you watching on YouTube, you're not going to be able to get the benefit of seeing the link. So that's why I want you to come out to join us here live. So as we're looking through this, I want you to keep in mind, try to be brief with your description. Part of the reason we do this in this call is I want you to get into the habit of writing it and being comfortable sharing it with others. This technique is something that I recommend that you do in every virtual event, meetup, etc., that you go into, conference, whatever. Wait until at least 5 minutes after the meeting has started. And why is that important? Well, because let's say you joined today at 9:58 and you put your introduction in. And then let's say at 10:04, Jess Samuels joined the call, but she didn't see your initial introduction. Now she doesn't know, and I'm just using Michelle as an example. She doesn't know that Michelle from Washington, D.C. is looking for an EAP counselor position because Jess came in at 10:04 and she only sees the chat from 10:04 on. Okay. So if you came in early, if you did this introduction before we said drop your introduction, drop it in again now, because there's people that came on the call a little bit later that did not see your introduction. Right now, we're up to 46 people on the call. So you've got potentially 45 other people that can connect with you on LinkedIn. By the way, if you're a multitasker, please go and invite people to connect while we're in the session here today. I would encourage you to, when you connect with them, click on add a note and mention that you were both on today's Friday VIP call. You can mention with Brenda Meller, give a little name drop there so they remember where you met them from. You never know where the future may lead, and you never know when you're going to help each other out. Okay. We do this in this call so that you remember to do it in other calls. And I want you to get succinct at your description. We don't want to get your whole life story. I want targeted job title, targeted geographic area, LinkedIn URL. Okay. So get succinct on that. If I were you, what I would do, what I would do is I would copy it, put it on like my desktop, like maybe in a Word document or in a notepad. And that way, the next time you're on another call, you can just go in and copy it and paste it. Okay. Then you don't have to retype it ever again and remember what you did. Right. So get in the habit of doing this every time. So we covered Friday, we covered VIP, job seeker office hours. Let's talk about that. So this is, if we worked together, this would be like the Friday when my office door was open and you could come into my visitor table. Remember those visitor tables in corporate? You could come into my visitor table, sit down, and we could like have a cup of coffee and talk about things. Now, the great thing here is it's not just me. I've got a team of all-stars that will be helping us out here today. So if you have a success story to share, I want you to put the word success in chat right now in all caps, just like I'm demonstrating, not with too many S's. A success might be, I got a job. I'm not going to be on these calls anymore. That's our goal, by the way, not to see you, not because we don't like you, but because we want you to be back to work. That's our goal. So we want to hear if you got a job. We want to hear if you are interviewing. Because getting to that interviewing phase means you're doing something right. Maybe you're starting to get looked at more on LinkedIn. You're starting to get more engagement by recruiters or hiring managers. We want to hear about that, or anything that you deem to be a success on your path of finding a new job. We want to hear about that. I'm going to call you up, and especially if you raise your hand like Sherry has done, I'm going to call you up, ask you to unmute yourself, briefly tell us your success story, and I might ask you to share advice for fellow job seekers with that. Okay, so that's success. I also want to look for questions, and a question would be like I typed in earlier. Do you like scrambled eggs? So type in the word question in all caps, and then type in the question after it. I'm going to type it in again. Do you like scrambled eggs? So I want you to type in the full question in case we can't get to you. Okay, that way other people can respond inside Zoom and help you out. And as soon as you do one of those two things, success or question, I want you to go to your Zoom menu bar at the bottom of your screen. Under reactions, you'll see a bunch of little smiley face and heart emojis and stuff. And there's a button that says raise hand, and it looks like you're doing like a high five. So I want you to click on raise hand. That will help me to find you so that I can call on you, because the chat you can see is really lively inside here. The raise hand helps me to find you so I can call on you. All right. With all of that said, we're going to go in this order. We've got Sherry, Brian, and then Jess. So Sherry, what is your question or success story for us today?
Good morning, everybody, and happy Passover Easter to everyone. The success story, last week, those of you who were on the call heard me talk about being referred by Brenda and also my career coach, Vicki Lieberman, to a gentleman who works at a company called Vacher. I had a great call with Ed from Vacher. He was genuinely interested in hearing about who I was. He was very forthright about saying, hey, listen, if I'm going to refer you to people within my company, I need to know a little bit more about you. We had about a half an hour, well, actually about a 45-minute conversation. So the success was I asked him, like I always do at the end of the call, how can I help you, your business or your mission? And I asked that of everybody I connect with, and I asked that of a lot of people that I meet during a week and whatnot. So anyway, the success was really through our conversation. I knew that he was struggling to promote his business through LinkedIn. And he's like, yeah, I just did a post, and, you know, I need to do one once a week, but sometimes once a week, Brenda. Okay. But sometimes I miss, and, you know, so I referred him back to Brenda, but the context had changed. Now I referred him back through getting her coaching, and also referred him to two other people that I thought he would have synergy with. So there's my success.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sherry. And I heard you describe for us in there as well, advice for other job seekers too. So thank you so much for sharing. Best of luck for continued success with your job search. Thank you so much. All right, next up, Brian. Brian, do you have a question or a success story that you'd like to share with us?
I have a success and a question. So
all right.
The success is not a new job, but there's a group called Positive Intelligence. Shazard, and I'm going to forget his last name, wrote a Positive Intelligence book back in 2011, and then posted that they're having this grant program to certify coaches in this specific technique. And so I got accepted for that. So I'm really excited. And then you have to form a coaching group. So at the last minute, finally, after reaching out to dozens of people, 2 people committed. So I have what's called a pod, and we're called the Mental Fitness Collective. So, and advice for job seekers, stick with Brenda, follow the path. You'll start getting more leads. Shout out to the hiring guy, Joey. I'm meeting with him next week. And I already mentioned my brisket expert. So thank you for that. And just with that, it sounds silly, but it's been, you know, the job search or looking for something new and trying to create a sideline that you want to make full time is an emotional roller coaster. So small wins are key. Doing things that are fun for you are key. So try to keep that balance. So I'm literally cooking all day for a big Passover Seder tonight. And so there's happiness in that. And then my question for you, Brenda, was you've been posting a lot. So I know when it's promoting your business services, that's
Mhm.
for all of LinkedIn versus what's going to be private in the VIP section. So I'm working at a substance abuse clinic, so I'm trying to be careful what I say in some of your posts, because I don't want people at work to know I'm actively looking for something else.
Understood.
So-
Yeah. So sometimes when you see my posts, they're going to be public. Sometimes when you see my posts, they're inside the group. And on that note, maybe what I'll do right now is I'm going to share the group on screen for those of you who are not yet a part of the group. So give me just a second to do this in the background. I'm going to drag my other page over here. Sorry if this is making you dizzy, but I'm going to go to the group on LinkedIn. And if you are not yet a member of this group, I want to encourage you and invite you to join us. It is called VIP Job Seeker Resources by Meller Marketing. I'm going to drop the link inside chat right now. This is a private, unlisted group. Private means nobody sees our conversation unless you are a group member. So even if it's in the homepage feed, the only people who can see it in the feed are fellow group members. So when you go inside the group, for example, I just posted this morning the scholarship opportunity through this organization called Grand Circus. You get $2,500 off if you are a veteran, healthcare provider, teacher, instructor, first responder. So if somebody in this group was working but looking for a new job and they saw this and they added a comment underneath the post, even if you saw it coming up in your homepage feed, the only people who would see it are fellow group members. Okay, so it's not visible to the public. So do keep in mind when you're seeing posts, just be aware of what the settings are. You may notice sometimes it'll say in the homepage feed, VIP job seeker resources. So just pay attention. When in doubt, don't comment if you're not sure, if you don't want your comment to be public. Okay. Now within this group, this is private, unlisted. Private means nobody can see the activity unless you're a member of the group. Unlisted means you cannot find this group. So you can't search for it on LinkedIn. It won't come up. I intentionally do that because I'm trying to keep this focused on only people who've been a part of our Friday phone calls. And when you first come to the group, you're going to see a little button at the top that will say request to join. And that's kind of like you knocking on the door. I will get, like, in my request to join, I'll see that your requests are coming in, and then I will have to admit you into the group. I'm refreshing my page because I'm trying to see if somebody new from today's call is clicking to join the group so I can demonstrate that. But when you join the group, when you request to join the group, I have to admit you inside the group. By the way, this is a really great group if you're ever looking for resources about this particular call, or if you want to share job postings with one another. I will always have my intern, either Julia or Paige, post the Zoom link. So for whatever reason, you can't find the Zoom link last minute, if you're emailing me or messaging me, I'll be honest, I'm on here. I can't clone myself. I haven't figured out how to do it. So I'm not going to see your message until 11:05 or 11:15. So go inside the group. Julia will have posted the Zoom link inside there, but then also scroll through and see what are other people posting. You might see job opportunities. Like here's one from Angela. She reshared a system center operations manager role in Fort Worth, Texas. Maybe that's not a job that's interesting to you, but maybe you know other people in Fort Worth that you could share that with. Okay. And you'll see there are a variety of different positions that people will share inside the group. I encourage you to share openly anything that could benefit the group or that supports the job seeking community. So if you see, like Retha, I'm not sure if she's on the call today. She's been on our call in the past. She is a member of our community. She did a post talking about the fact that she's open to work. Somebody reshared that inside the group. Other times I'll see people sharing workshops. This is one on 7 ways to improve your resume. I'm going to drop this into, let's see, I'm going to put Jude's post into the chat so you guys can get to it. I can't grab the event link right now, but anytime you see other workshops, webinars, even if they're LinkedIn related, even if it, competes, so to speak, with what I speak, I'm fine with it because the group is created for all of you to share resources with each other. So don't be shy, go inside the group. I would encourage you to interact with other group members' posts first before sharing your own. It's just kind of good etiquette, good social media karma. But I do want to highly encourage you to get inside that group and post. Brian, I think I kind of answered your question about that. Okay, so thank you very much. And it's a delight to see you. And thank you for sharing about that accountability pod that you're a part of. Well, and that's something we encourage here. If you're looking for somebody to help you go into chat right now and just type in, I'm seeking an accountability partner. And maybe you can find somebody in the group to work with where you can check in with each other once a week. Hey, did you get your resume updated? How many jobs did you apply to? Did you hear back from that opportunity? You know, getting people to help you, I think, can really be helpful, especially when you're in career transition. It can be very isolating. Okay. So,
And I got your book.
Oh.
So thank you.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. And since you mentioned book, Julia, I'll ask you to drop the link in the chat. I've got a book. It's right over the shoulder. It's called Social Media Pie, How to Enjoy a Bigger Slice of LinkedIn, available on Amazon, or you order it from me, you can get an autographed copy. All right, we're going to keep this moving along. Jess Samuels, delighted to see you again here today. Jess, do you have a success story or a question for us?
I have a success story and 2 thank yous to the group. So I tuned in last week and I was talking a little bit like this, but a little bit more like a frog. And it turned out that I had COVID. So I appreciate everybody who said postpone your interview that afternoon. I did postpone my interview to the following Tuesday, and I managed to make it to the next stage of the interview process. So thank you so much for telling me that that was possible. So that was my one success. The other one I wanted to thank everybody for was that I got a lot of reach out about what I shared in the group about having 50 LinkedIn recommendations. And so I wrote my very first article, and Brenda encouraged me to share it more widely. So I did that through a LinkedIn article. So I'll post that in the chat.
I did my own thing where I muted myself and I didn't unmute. What was your article about, Jess?
It was how to 5x your LinkedIn recommendations.
Ooh, love it. So yeah, please drop it into chat. And when you guys see that into chat, we'd love it if you could go on to Jess's post, add a thoughtful comment. And keeping in mind that whenever you are engaging with a post on LinkedIn, you're building social media karma, my friend. That is a good thing to do. I want you to think about not just selfishly using LinkedIn for yourself to find a job. I mean, I know that's what you need to do for yourself, but I want you to think about helping your fellow community of job seekers as well. And I refer to social media karma because it's really what you do when you engage with other people on LinkedIn. You're building social media karma. When I engage with Jess's post, when I add a thoughtful comment or get into a conversation with her, or even just like her post, that is helping Jess to get more reach on the platform. And we all know that it just takes that one connection, right, to get us back to our dream job. And likes and reactions cost us nothing. So literally go into your homepage feed whenever you see a fellow job seeker or a post that's related to your industry, give it a like or a reaction. Just takes a half a second to do that. And then maybe 2 to 3 times a day, I want you to think about adding a thoughtful comment of 8 or more words to a post. Now, 8 or more words is key. It used to be 5 and I could hold up one hand. Now I got to do the 5 and the 3. 8 or more words. It used to be 5, but now it's a little bit of a longer comment. That will help that post to get more traction on the platform. Now, my little hack for this is sometimes you might be struggling with coming up with 8 or more words. You might say, great article, Jess. Great article. Okay, that's 3. Now what? Okay, now add a question. And when you add a question, it's going to get you over 8. Great article, Jess. What was your inspiration for coming up with this? Right? That's really easy to do. Add a simple question at the end. Now, human nature, my friend, is when I ask Jess a question, she's going to be inclined to reply back to me. And that is going to help her. And that's going to help me, because once you see conversations occurring back and forth between people, have you ever noticed, like, sometimes you'll do this, you'll click on their name to go to their profile because you're like, who is this Jess Samuels? Like, is she related to the Robbie, the Zoom guy? Yeah, yes, I think she is actually, right? By the way, Jess, are you qualified to speak about what Robbie does with the Zoom calls? Or I could ask Christopher. I know he's a part of that.
I would probably be qualified, but I bet Christopher could do a better pitch.
Well, why don't I ask Christopher, if you don't mind, Christopher, to tell us a little bit about the Friday calls that Robbie does, if you could.
So Robbie has a virtual happy hour, and the first Friday of the month is free. And today happens to be the first Friday of April. So I will invite you all to attend. And it is a way to, it's another community where you can engage and get better at Zoom.
Great. Thank
Jess,
you.
what did I leave out?
The link. How do we get the link to join it?
Oh, yeah, the link. That would be helpful.
I'll share a link to his book too, that just launched in last month. So he's got a great book that came out about Zoom and how to get better at being a not just a Zoom producer, but anybody who attends a Zoom events.
All right, awesome. And while we're on the subject of books, I'm going to change gears a minute and we're going to go back into questions again. But I want everyone to think about a book that they would recommend to job seekers. Think about a book that you would recommend to job seekers. And if you could go inside chat and tell us what book that is. Maybe if you're like Linda and myself and you got a bookshelf behind you, I want you to grab, look like Al just did. Hold the book up and show us the book and then go into chat and tell us the name. Kenneth is going to grab a book right now. He just got up. Joey, your book is on my nightstand. I've read like part of the first chapter and I gotta get back into reading a chapter every night again. But if you have a book that you would recommend, go into chat and tell us the name of that book. If you want to get fancy and put the Amazon link or anything like that, feel free. Now, Kenneth, what's that book? I don't think I've seen that one before. What is that? Can you unmute?
Yeah, that's a book. Career in Transition. Mark Beal and Frank Kovacs. They work with the Breakfast Club. Mark Kovacs teaches at Rutgers University, and it's lessons learned. And it's something which they've actually done 2 or 3 of these books, but it's one of the first ones they did, and it's a great resource. I'll put the link in the chat to Amazon. But Brenda, I love your book. I have it too with many others, but you have so many there too, and I'd love to get a sense of what other books people have as well. But I'm going to put this in the chat. I know Joey and others from New Jersey may know about this stuff.
Let's do a book show and tell. If you have a book, I'm going to call on you and you're going to tell us the title of the book and why people should read it. I'm going to grab a couple of mine from my bookshelf right now while we're doing this. I don't think I've even read this one yet, but I'm going to pull up. I think this is our Al Smith who's on the call with us, isn't this? He just walked away. So I'm going to wait to talk about that one. All right. I'm going to talk about this one first. Content DNA. This is, let me pull you back up into speaker view here. John Esperian. If you're struggling with what to post on LinkedIn and what is your personal brand and what do you represent, this is a really great book. And John is based in the UK. There's his lovely mugshot right there. Great guy. I've changed so many things that I do about myself and my business because of John. And one of which is if you have my cell phone number, don't do this right now, but if you call me and you get my voicemail, I talk about pie in my voicemail. Like literally I talk about pie, like everywhere I go. So that's a really great book. So that's one example. I want to ask if you have a book that you want to talk about right now, use the raise hand feature if you could, and I'll call on you and I'll ask you to briefly let's see. Kagesh raised hand. So Kagesh, can you unmute yourself? And I do apologize if I'm saying your name incorrectly, but please, if you could tell us the book that you'd like to share with us.
Right. Hi, Brenda. This is Kagesh. This is the book I'm sure all of you are familiar with. I came across simply because I wanted to buy one of the bestseller, and that could be a self-help book. And yesterday I started reading this book, an audio book, while biking on my street. And I really like the book. The beginning is very powerful. I just started yesterday, but I'm already blown away with how it aligns with the principles that I believe in for improvement in your life. So Atomic Habits by James Clear, James Clear.
Wonderful. Yeah, I have heard of that one. So thank you so much for sharing that, Kagesh. We really appreciate it. All right.
Absolutely.
I think there was another hand that was raised and now I'm having a hard time finding it. If you do have a book suggestion for us, please raise your hand. Sherry, do you have a book suggestion for us? Would you like to tell us about your book? Oh, you'll have to unmute yourself if you don't mind. There we go. Thank you.
I do. The book is Affirmations, and this is a book about positive self-talk. Everybody's heard of affirmations. This one disputes why it doesn't work to continue telling yourself stuff over and over again, but pose it as a question instead. So, for example, why am I so lucky to get a great job so quick? As opposed to, I will get a great job, I will get a great job. The author has the theory that we don't really believe those thoughts that we continue to tell ourselves. And that's the issue why affirmations instead of affirmations. And I'll drop the link in the chat.
Love it. Thank you so much, Sherry. All right, next up is Mary. Mary, can you tell us about your book?
So this is not just focused on job seekers, but it's kind of a fun book. And it promotes being more confident and anyway, I'm going to cover part of this because it's kind of
as long as you don't say the word, I don't think YouTube will screen us out, but thank you for doing that.
Yeah. So how to start or stop doubting yourself. It's just kind of a fun book. So thought I'd promote it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. Thanks, Mary. All right, David, you are up next, my friend. What book do you have that you'd like to tell us about?
Okay, so this book is by Tim Story. He's a pretty famous author, like a minister to the stars, or like he's Oprah's minister, that kind of thing. But he wrote the Miracle Mentality, and it's a lot of those kinds of things about how we control our thoughts, how we control what we think about in life. And so his connotation is that at some point we always believe in miracles, but then we let life get in the way and other people get in the way of our thoughts that miracles can actually happen. And so since I saw him on a very good Zoom at one point, I bought the book, and it's been very enriching. So it's just a time to be positive in our job search. Really, our mentality is going to be everything. And that's one of the things about this book. And it's one of the things this group talks about. And so let's be positive. It's 1 week out of the Boston Marathon, and being positive about, going to that great event and, seeing it and everything. And so it is the 10th anniversary of the bombing, but, it's a great recovery from that thing. And it's a great time to be alive and to be here with everybody.
Thank you so much, David. I'm going to keep us moving along here. Al, you are up next. Are you in your backyard? Because that is beautiful. Or is that virtual?
It's virtual. It's my picture of my backyard, though.
I mean, you got palm trees, you got sunshine. It looks like the day is either sun setting or sun rising, but that is beautiful. I'd like to have a cup of coffee on your deck with you there, Al. What kind of book do you have to share with us here today?
Reading this book, 50 Ways to Get a Job, an unconventional guide to finding work on your terms. So it's broken up, you could do this like one piece every day, and it's a really short read, but it gives you kind of things that you haven't thought about. Like you need to create kind of a profile of a company that you're looking for. And so you have an exercise to do that. You talk about like your network. And so it's kind of a good thing to kind of like read every day while you're doing it, while you're looking for a job, and do a little bit and an exercise that can be helpful in finding a job. So I highly recommend it.
That's great. Thank you so much, Al, for sharing that. All right. I want to share something real quick, because as you are all sharing these books, I just thought about, wouldn't it be great if we had like a place, like a collection where we could share all of these books together? Are you all familiar with Goodreads? Have you heard of this place, Goodreads? And I created a reading list. It was probably about a year or so back. And I started adding in books to this account under Goodreads, where I was hearing about books that would be really helpful for VIP job seekers. I'm going to drop the link inside chat. And Julie, I'm going to give you an assignment. I'm going to give you the login to my Goodreads account to go in to chat and grab the books that people have mentioned and to add them to this Goodreads. I don't want to say it's a channel. It's kind of like, it's almost like, when you go to the video store and they say these are the staff picks for videos. I don't think video stores exist anymore, but remember when they used to do that? Or you go to your local library and it would say like staff picks for new books or things like that. So these are like the books that have been mentioned within these Friday calls. And there's some in here that were mentioned from before, from our last time that we did this. I will ask Julia to help me to add books from this call in as well. So please do that. Do we have any other book suggestions? I need you to raise your hand if you could, if anyone wants to share their book with us. You can, if you don't use if you're not comfortable with the raise hand inside Zoom, do the old school. Like you can wave right now, wave at me and raise your hand if you have a book that you want to share with us. No? Okay, I'm going to go
Brenda,
through. What? Yeah. Who's that?
Right. This is Rob. I do have my hand raised actually, but it's all right. I put the link, or I put the description in the chat when you first asked for it. It's the 2-Hour Job Search by Steve Dalton. Okay. He's from the career counseling group at the business school at the Fuqua School of Business at Duke University. So he's basically all about organizing your reach out on LinkedIn, cold contacting people for informational interviews, and classifying, understanding that not everybody will respond, and that people will either be They may respond initially just feeling like they have to respond, but then they may not help you. Others will be very proactive, and those are the ones that you want to cultivate and nurture, because those are the ones that are willing to help you move forward. And it also helps you think about yourself too, in the sense of, how am I going to help others when others reach out to me as a cold contact, maybe in the future, looking for information about whatever company you're going to be working for. But it's also good about kind of organizing and everything. So it's not about getting the job search done in 2 hours one time. It's about, a disciplined couple of hours every day. I got the book from my library and read it and copied a couple of key pages and turned it back in, but I think it's also available for purchase as well.
That's wonderful. And by the way, Rob, thank you so much for raising your hand and for telling me. I just had a new learning experience, not a mistake, because I don't make mistakes. You all know that, right? I don't make mistakes. I have learning experiences. My learning experience for today was I hid non-video participants. So if your video wasn't on, I was hiding you. So I wasn't seeing like a bunch of black boxes. And Rob, because your video wasn't on, it wasn't showing me your hand being raised. And I'm like, how am I not seeing this? And then I just realized right now. So what I do with my learning experiences is I tell you all what just happened, so that if you are ever hosting a Zoom, you have to keep all of the videos participants on, whether they're showing or not, in order to see their hand raised. Christopher, did you know that? That's probably something you already knew, I'm guessing. Is that right?
It is, but I usually look at the participant list to keep track of the hand raised.
Okay. So I had 2 learning experiences just now. I should have looked at the participant list and kept the videos on. So thank you all for that. And I'm seeing so many great books that are coming into chat. Let me show 2 more of mine. I just quickly pulled them off of the bookshelf. This one, let me just go into speaker view here. I think this is the Al who's on the call with us today, if I'm not mistaken. I have not read it myself yet, but Al was so kind as to gift me a copy of Hired Every Employment Method. So, and it looks like it is a Amazon bestseller. So be sure to check that out. Al, I'll ask if you could, if you haven't done so already, go ahead and drop the link in chat. This is another one I had to wear because I'm matching. Did you notice? I'm matching the colors here today. My 2 very good friends, Michelle B. Griffin, Michelle J. Raymond, wrote a LinkedIn branding book. Similar to, what I talked about earlier, the John Esperian Content DNA book. If you're looking at expanding your presence on LinkedIn, this is a really great read. What I like about it, it's kind of short snippets with lessons. And then you hear from Michelle Griffin, and then you hear from Michelle Raymond. They do talk about your personal brand and your business brand on LinkedIn. So really great insights here if you are starting to dabble in the side hustle, or if you work for a company and you're looking for some tips on and expanding your presence on LinkedIn. So really great resources there. All right, I'm going to do one more question, and I do have a semi-celebrity who was on the call. I don't know if he dropped off. I voluntold or guilted my husband into coming on, and he was on for just a second. So I'll get him a second to get back on camera again. While I wait for him to do that, I want to find one more question from inside chat. If you have a question, you can help me out by raising your hand. I see this is actually a question Nancy posed to Mary. You have such a clear video picture. How do you do it? So we're going to do a little video mini listen tutorial right now. So if you want some video tips, put yourself on video right now so we can give you some tips on video. We've done this before, and I think this is really helpful because if you're ever interviewing somebody on Zoom, these things are important for you to hear. And I'm going to pick out some examples from what I'm seeing up on screen, and in doing so in a way that's helping to educate others. I'm not picking on you, is my point. I want to say I'm not picking on you. I'm doing this because I want to help you with others on the call. So Brian, as an example, I'm going to pull Brian up to speaker view with me, or if Christopher, if you can do that first, let's see. I think I got it. Okay. So Brian is sitting with his back facing a window, and his adorable cat is peeking through the blinds. By the way, did you all love when Joey had the cat do the python thing with the tail around? I was like, the timing was perfect in what he was saying. And he was like, I'm going to yank you out of there. And then the cat's tail went and yanked around his neck. It was like perfect timing. At any rate, if you're in an interviewing situation, you want to lock your pets up, obviously, or lock them out of the room, not lock them up. That sounds really bad. Lock them out of the room that you're in for the interview. If you are in a room where you are facing the window, just like Brian has done, make sure that the blinds are closed. So we're not getting that light that's peeking through. Is it a cat or a dog? It's a dog.
That's a Corgi Chihuahua Ebony Buttons.
I think the ears made me think it was a cat earlier.
Yeah.
And did you, Brian, can you poke your hand between the blinds just for a second? And I'm going to put us back into gallery view so we can all see this. See how like the light becomes like the focal point. It's distracting. Go ahead and let that go there, Brian. So we don't want to have the light becoming the focal point of the video. We want Brian's face to be the focal point. And since Brian, since you're in view right now, I'm going to give you one more. I'm not going to pick on you, but I'm going to give you one more tip if you don't mind. Are you watching this on your laptop right now, Brian? Can you angle your laptop a little bit closer to you and then try to get your face centered in the frame as well? There you go. Do you all notice the difference in that? It's a slight thing. If you're on your laptop and that's the webcam that you have, these webcam qualities are getting better and better in the built-in laptops. But let's make sure that you're framed. You almost want to think about you are framed in the center. And we do the Zoom salute. I haven't done one of these in a while, so let's do one of these right now. I'm going to put us all into gallery view. I want you to put your hand at the top of your head. The goal really is that you should have, you know, the bottom of your fingers and top should be touching the top of the screen, or maybe even a couple fingers are going beyond, but you should not have a gap like this. That's too far away from the camera. Okay. So this Zoom salute, we call it the Zoom salute because it's almost like you're saluting, you know, people. By the way, Christopher, did we invent that term, Zoom salute, or did you create that? Or did you hear about it from someone? Where did we come up with that?
You know, we were discussing it with Santina on one of the Friday calls. And
so
I
did we
don't know
create
who
it?
coined the term Zoom salute.
Trademark it now.
I know, that's what I'm thinking. Christopher, you should like, that's your thing, the Zoom salute. I mean, I'm thinking of you. I forgotten it was Santina. I don't want to take credit for the term, but at any rate, it's a good test if you're going onto a video interview just to see, are you close enough to the camera, right? And also make sure that you're looking at the camera. I'm tapping my camera right now. My camera is an external webcam, so I have to look up to look at you. And it's challenging when you're being interviewed to think about looking up. So here's what I want you to do. If they're asking the question, look at the screen as they're asking the question. Then when you respond, then you look at the camera. Okay, because they know you're probably, you know, not looking at them, they're looking at the camera, but try to look at the camera when you're answering, because then you get really good engagement. And that's kind of the equivalent of making eye contact. If you're in an interview, making eye contact is looking at a circle, which is your camera, right? So it's a little bit challenging for you to think about.
Yeah, and two more quick things that you taught us, Brenda. So I've been relegated to the garage when I'm doing my office stuff. So I did get a green screen, so that helps a lot. So I don't have a nice background like yours. And then Santina had this like 6-fold.
Yeah, that screen.
Screen divider like you see in the movies, or to separate a room.
Yeah.
25 or 30 bucks on Amazon. I just ordered one, and then I'm putting my green screen in front of that if I'm doing my own videos for my own marketing, and then or like Christopher's, and I'm using that when I'm on a job interview. So
yeah, and I'm pulling up
I also have a laptop stand so that I'm centered
that
like
raises
this.
it up a little bit in there.
And
I'm going to pull up a
not
couple
like
of
this, but
yeah, right. You don't want to be too close. I'm going to pull up just a couple of examples for people in the background that are standing out to me. I want to briefly speak on what I like about each of these. If you don't mind, Brian, I'm going to take you out so I can add one more person in here. Let's see. I'm going to pull in VF in here. So Christopher is using, I think you purchased that from Amazon, right? That's like a screen that sits behind you.
It is.
Yeah.
And it divides the clarity from the chaos.
I like it. And it aligns with this brand. We're focusing on Christopher. We're not, looking at all the other stuff that's in the background behind him. Now, I do have a bookshelf similar to Linda has a bookshelf. You may notice if you watch my calls, I frequently move things around in my bookshelf because I honestly, I get tired of looking at the same things, but I'm trying to make it a little bit cleaner on the top. I've got like a single plant. The plant that I talked about last week died. I'm sorry. I was so sad. I pulled it out and I'm like, this doesn't look good. And then I put it in the kitchen window, and the next day I tried to pull a leaf, and it was like if you ever cook an artichoke and the leaves just fall off, it was like, I'm done. Just throw me away. Just, I now felt so bad, but I'll get a new plant. But at any rate, bookshelves can be interesting, behind you. Everything in the frame should be intentional. I have this book over here from Tina Marie Woolfield because I was doing a video clip for her conference I'm speaking at. So I staged it in the background. Linda has, similar to me, if you can see my bookshelf over here, I color code my books when I organize them. Linda has really nice color coding in her book. She's got a lot of clarity with the white books on the one side and some colored books on the other side. Now, Kevin Kane has blurred his Zoom screen, and you all have the ability to do that. Blur your background. So we're not seeing if it's the couch behind you with the pile of clothes or the dog running around or whatever. We don't see that. So we can blur that background behind you. Stuart has, it looks like, is that a college degree or diploma certificate behind you? I really like that, and can be a good conversation starters with things behind you. VF has a virtual background, which the colors that she is using in her background are similar to her personal brand. If you go on her LinkedIn profile, she uses a lot of those vibrant colors in her background as well. So just a couple of examples. Thank you all for letting me pull you up on screen as I was demonstrating that. I want to just quickly say, let's see.
Hey, Brenda,
sorry.
While you're on the topic, I think it's important to also
Yeah.
not get the camera too close as well.
Yeah.
You showed it too far away. I recall interviewing some job applicants a couple of years ago when I was hiring, and there was two people who they were so close I could see that they needed to visit the dentist, and I'll leave it at that. And
How you doing today, sir?
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I let it go, and I ended up hiring one of the people, but I talked to my internal recruiter and said, would you please give the feedback to the candidate, because when she talks to my boss, who is going to be a vice president, I want her to be successful in that interview. And I knew that would be something that might turn him off, but I didn't want to turn her away for the job because I liked her as a candidate. So
yeah,
it's important to not be too close.
Yeah, I think too close can be, and generally speaking, I've heard the rule, like, hold out your hand to your camera, and you should be just about touching your camera. Anything closer than that, then you are, looking at the person.
All of these platforms allow you to see your own video, so I'm not sure why she didn't detect that, but
yeah. All right. I want to just a quick shout out to my husband, Chris Meller, who's a huge supporter of me. And I asked him to come on the call today, and he said no. And I said, well, maybe you will. Maybe you'll come on for a second. So do you want to say hi to the group real quick, Chris?
Let me unmute myself. Yeah, I do want to say hi. I'm usually not home on Friday. I'm an admissions recruiter at Rochester University, but we are off today in celebration of Good Friday. So thank you for letting me kind of just lurk and listen. And her groups, Brenda's groups on Friday, I've heard them for a few years now, and I know how helpful she has been and the group has been to job seekers. So I just wanted to say hello and good luck to everybody. And I know a few of you from just seeing, and hearing Brenda talk to you guys. So just want to say hi and have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you so much, Chris. See, that wasn't that bad, right?
Nah, it wasn't that bad at all. And I'm sorry where I'm sitting today. I'm usually a lot more professional and in my office, but I'm on my phone and I'm not doing.
And he's laying back in the couch too, and he's got
And I'm watching the Masters, so I've been looking up there, but I just did want to say hi.
Yeah,
nice haircut. Well, thank you. Exactly. That's you know what? Bald is beautiful.
There you go. All right.
Thank you guys.
Chris. All right.
All right. Take care.
Okay. I think we are at about time today. I've actually got to jump on. I'm doing a podcast interview here shortly, so I've got to start to wrap. So I just want to just in closing, I just want to say thank you to all of you. We still got 46 people on the call here today, and I didn't say your names at the beginning, so I just want to really quickly run through and say thank you so much to all of you for attending. Thank you to Christopher for helping out today. Thank you to Julia for helping me behind the scenes. Thank you to Joey, Kenneth, Linda, and Sue for being my all-stars and for being in the background. And I know there's a lot of chat and conversation. You're probably helping out with questions in there as well. Also to all of you for making this a part of your Friday. Thank you to Simeon, Al, LN, LS, Alicia O, Andy, Chris, Cindy, Lewis, David B, David S, Dean, Debbie, Haley, Jamie, Jensen, Jess, Joan, Catherine, Katie, Kevin, Kagesh, Mary, Michelle, Nancy, Randy, Rob, Scott, Sherry, Stewart, Susan, Tamara, VF, Vic the Pie Man, and Wendy B. I want to remind you guys, my goal is to not see you on Friday because I really want you to be back to work. But until then, you are welcome, my friend, to come and join us every Friday from 10 to 11 a.m. Eastern time. A reminder to go to mellermarketing.com/Friday VIP. And that's where you'll register to come on the event. Once you register once for 2023, it will be the same link that you use for the remainder of the year. We'll have a new link coming in the new year after that. If you ever do see someone on LinkedIn who is in career transition and posting and announcing that they need help finding a job, what I want you to do is I want you to go into the comments on that post and say something like, Brenda Meller may have some resources to help you. Use the @ before my name so that way it'll tag me. And it's kind of like you winking to me. And I will get a notification that you've tagged me in on the post, and I'll look at the post and I'll see that they're a job seeker, and I will comment back. So my comment back is kind of like me winking back to you. And I'll say, I'd like to invite you to join me on my Friday VIP job seeker office hour. So you don't have to remember that link. Just tag me and I will come into the comments and I will put the link to help to bring that person into this community. You, my friend, can be part of the difference that we all want to see in the world when we are in career transition. It can be very lonely. It can be very isolating. It is a roller coaster of emotions, to be sure. You might be angry one day. The next day you might be relieved. You might be grateful that you are off, whether it is Passover or the Easter weekend, and you're not having to deal with driving and running and doing errands and getting ready for your meals and getting together with your friends and relatives, right? And the next day you might be feeling really down because you're looking at your bank account and you're trying to figure out how many more months you can go, and you've got a mortgage and college student loans for your kids and etc. So I want you to know that we are here for you. I want you to connect with each other. Reminder that you can download the chat. And if you are interested in downloading the chat, go to the bottom of your chat menu where there are 3 dots. Click on the 3 dots. So under where it says to everyone, click on the 3 dots. And then there's an option that will say save chat, and that will save it to your downloads folder. Now, if anyone listening in on this call on the Zoom today, if you're on a tablet or your phone and you're not able to download the chat because of your device, just put your email address into the chat here and just say, can someone email it to me? Somebody from the group will do that. I pretty much come into the call, get this done, and then go on to the next thing. So I don't provide the chat, but you have the ability to share it with each other. So please feel free to do so. And then, by the way, go through the chat and look at all the great links and resources that we have provided for you. I'm going to give you one more resource before we leave here today. I'm going to ask Julia to drop in the Do This Now checklist that we have created. Do This Now is a checklist that we have created for those of you that are in career transition, or maybe you're coming up on a potential career transition. You're worried about layoffs or things that could potentially be happening, or you're already in the midst of being in career transition, unemployed, laid off. It's a really great list of items that you can just kind of run through. Things like if your employer gave you any sort of professional services, job search resource benefits as a part of the severance, take them. Put your pride on a shelf, my friend. Do not say, no, I'm not taking anything from that company because they don't want me, so I don't want them. No, you take those benefits. You take everything that they give you. You meet with a career coach. You take, if they give you LinkedIn services, whatever, you take it because they are paying for those regardless if you use them or not. Okay. So use all the resources they give you. And it's other things like, if you're new to being in career transition, maybe your cell phone and your laptop were belonging to your work, ask them if you can buy them from them. They may not offer it to you, but they might say, sure, we're only going to get $10 back from the Sprint store if we return it anyway. So go ahead and buy it from us. That's fine. So things like that you may not be thinking of. Other things like going into your LinkedIn account and changing your work email to your home email. You may not have thought about that yet. Go into there and make sure that you have done so, because you don't want recruiters to be sending emails to your work email that's bouncing now and they're not getting a message back. Christopher Johnson will say, make sure that you check all of your other accounts like Zoom and other places to make sure that you're not using your work email there, that you're using a home email. So it's a really great checklist. We call it Do This Now because these are things you want to do now. Like, don't wait until later. And feel free to share that link, mellermarketing.com/do this now with other people that are in career transition. Or as you're meeting with people over the holiday weekend, maybe they say, yeah, I'm not sure how things are going with the company. Something might be happening. I might be losing my job. I'm a little worried. Give them the checklist, like give them the link to the checklist, because there's things in there that you can do in preparation for a impending layoff. For example, getting a copy of your contacts from your Outlook address book. Because what happens, as you all know, is as soon as they walk you into the conference room or you're on the Zoom call with you, the flip of the switch happens and everything is shut off. So you're not going to get access to those things as soon as they terminate you. Okay. So check out that checklist, and do keep in mind that we are here for you. If you have noticed there's someone who's been on the call for a while and they're not on today, I want to ask you a favor, reach out to them on LinkedIn, or if you have their cell phone number, text them. Hey, check in. Hey, Nancy, how are you doing? Haven't seen you on the Friday calls. Are things going okay? I want you to feel like you're not alone in this process, and we are a community. We are here to support each other. This is your team, right? All of us are a part of this great VIP job seeking community, and you are a part of each other's teams. With that said, my friends, thank you so much for attending. If you celebrate Happy Passover or Happy Easter, I wish those greetings to all of you. Have a wonderful weekend. I'm